British Parliament will be suspended for 5 weeks as MPs prepare to debate on whether to call a snap election.
Joining us live now from London is News Corp Europe correspondent Stephen Drill. Stephen, good morning to you. So, there's still a lot of heads spinning over this. We were talking last week about where we were going. It looked like it was going to be an election, then it looks like it was going to be off again. Then Boris Johnson was going to jail. Now he's not going to jail. So can you spell it out for us? What's happening?
Well, what's happening right now, Peter, is they're about to have a vote on whether they'll have another snap election. Now, I've just spoken with Catherine West. She's an Australian who is an MP for the Labor Party over here. Now, she believes that Boris will actually lose that vote. The Labor Party is setting to abstain from going to a general election, which is quite extraordinary. They've been carping about it for quite a while. They've said at least 27 times that they wanted a general election. But what Labor is saying right now is that they think that Boris will try and get out of the EU without a deal on October 31 if they let him go to a vote early. But Peter and Laura, it's extraordinary because the polls over here are saying, despite the chaos and despite all these MPs leaving the Conservative Party, that Boris Johnson is still up in the polls and he actually would win an election if it was held today.
Well,
so it shows that they still want that.
Yeah, that explains exactly why, though, that the Labor Party and Jeremy Corbyn is holding out. After months of Jeremy Corbyn calling for an election, now he's looking at the polls, surely with one eye going, actually, we're not quite ready for an election yet because he's so far behind. Is that part of the thinking, do you think, Stephen?
Oh, for sure, Laura. They're sort of running scared that, hang on, after all this chaos around them, that the Conservatives could still win. Now, there is a belief that there is a bit of a split in some parts of the Labor Party where they're saying, hang on, we really should put our money where our mouth is. But what we're going to see now is just some more delay and some more frustration. Now, there's been some talk that just from even just the last half an hour or so that Boris could actually resign. There's a rumour going around that he might just say, right, I'm going to quit. I refuse to go and have a delay to Brexit, which he's been ordered to do under a law that just was given the royal assent by the Queen in the last few hours. So he could then throw it into even more chaos if that was possible and demand that Jeremy Corbyn forms a government. Now, that most likely wouldn't happen, and there would have to be a general election. Whether that happens before October 31 becomes the question. So I don't think anything's going to follow the rule books. The MPs have also voted tonight, 311 to 302, to open up all of the books, all of the text communications, emails and phone calls about the proroguing of Parliament, because there's been a bit of a stink about how this Parliament is being suspended. The Queen was told it was just a last-minute thing and we didn't really think about this beforehand, and it's just been forced upon us to cancel Parliament. But there's been some documents saying that it might have been discussed at least 2 weeks ago. So we're just trying to find out exactly what's happening there.
I tell you what, we talk about the Canberra bubble here in Australia. What about the Westminster bubble over in the UK at the moment? Because, so by a majority, the people outside of the political class in Westminster still want Brexit to happen, but because there's all this obfuscation going on and there's delay upon delay upon delay, and I don't know, I get the feeling that it's going to be delayed again until January next year, people are going to get more and more frustrated with the political class of the UK.
Well, you're right there, Peter, and that is exactly what Boris Johnson will campaign on. He's going to campaign on a Parliament versus the people platform, because he thinks that the mood of the electorate is that, hang on, we've voted on this 3 years ago. We're just sick of talking about it.
That's right.
We've had to go and explain this to people at dinner parties, and we just want to go. Now it's time to move on. And it's one of those things. Are all the doomsdayers right? The Bank of England said there was going to be an 8% drop in the economy a couple of months ago, and then they've revised that, saying that was a little bit too negative. So there's a lot of negative talk about shelves and supermarkets that won't be filled and medicines that will be in shortage. But really, they've been talking about this for 3 years. It was supposed to happen in March earlier this year, and they've had a fair bit of time to do some contingency planning, and the ports will probably be okay. But again, we don't know, and it's really just a frustration among lots of people who did vote for it that they just want it to happen now.
Yeah.